Hi, I'm Steph, and I love to kayak, so today I'm going to kayak while I share my coming out story. I'm a late in life lesbian, and I will share the journey of discovering that, but first, let's get paddling. So I am currently actually stuck on a log. I am out at my friend Stephanie's creek, and it's beautiful here. I've kayaked it a couple times, but the water level has been low recently. It's going to be a challenge to get through, but I'm going to make it happen. I am not going to be able to get through here, so I think I'm just going to paddle back. But you know what? I don't have to go far to be able to share this story. If you look at this channel, you're going to see a lot of greyhound and kayaking videos. And from that, you might think that I've been passionate about both those things for a long time. But in fact, those were recent discoveries of things that I now can't imagine not having in my life. I got my first dog ever, my first greyhound in 2018, and then I got into kayaking in 2021. So really not that long ago, but I just can't imagine them not in my life. They are something that is so helpful for my mental health and for being in nature and just having something beyond myself to focus on. And 2 years ago, I shared a really sad time in my life where my first dog, the love of my life, I loved her so much, she passed away. She got some really bad pain really quickly, and there was nothing that could be done. And I even shared the euthanasia video and kind of that journey because I thought it was important. That was something that was a fear of mine when I got a dog in the first place, was what is it going to look like when I have to euthanize, or when they die, like what is that going to be like? And it wasn't as scary as I had imagined. So that's kind of why I wanted to share it. I was basically at my lowest when she passed. She had been my whole world for 4 years, and she was just very much an alpha dog and told me when to wake up, when to feed her, all these things. She was just very much what I needed at the time in my life. And when she was gone, there was a huge hole in my heart, literally, that she had filled. And she had basically grown my heart to accept her and love her. And then there was this huge piece missing that I didn't know what to do with that space. And during that time, the vet tech that would always work on my rooms when I'd go to my vet, her name is Amber, and she messaged me when right before Mac passed. She gave me her number in case I needed to get in touch with the vet office on off hours or anything, because she knew kind of what I was going through. And she was the one that helped me set up the euthanasia, because I was like, I wouldn't have been able to call to even schedule it. I was so sad and upset about it that, I was able to text her, and she took care of it all for me. After Mac passed, and we continued to talk a little bit over text. She's a super nice, kind person, and she had lost a cat recently that was basically the love of her life kind of thing, with same thing like Mac was for me. So she understood what I was going through, and as a vet tech, she knows what it's like to lose animals and all of that. So we started to message, and we were friends. And she told me very early on, she told me that she was a lesbian, so I knew. And at the time, I was an ally, and I was like, I accept you. That is awesome. I'm very happy to be your friend. And I let her know that I was straight. And it was through the time, it was about a 3-month process where we were friends and we were texting and we were hanging out a little bit. But through that journey, I realized that I was having different feelings for her than I had ever felt for a friend before, for a girl in any capacity. And I basically realized that I was gay. I really wanted to date Amber, but I had no idea what to say, because she's very respectable. She was never, if she liked me, she was never going to say it because she knew I was straight. So she was very respectful, and I knew I was going to have to say something. So during this process, I was also talking to 2 good friends of mine about these feelings, and I had a therapist at the time that I was talking to and working through a lot of this, because it was a whole change for my life. My whole life I thought I was straight, and I had never really had relationships with guys. I went on dates here and there, but I never really connected with any guy, but I always thought, oh, I would once I find the right guy. And so I realized I wanted to date Amber. And so finally, one day, I told her, And the rest is history. We started dating, and I started to come out to people close in my life. And so once I came out to myself and I accepted that I was gay, like I said, I accepted it pretty quickly. And through the help of my therapist and friends, I was able to really accept who I was. And I did go through a journey. I did wonder, am I bisexual? Am I not a lesbian? Like, did I just fall for one person? I went through all that process, but ultimately I realized I am a lesbian. I do use the term lesbian, gay, and queer. I'll use them just at different times, but probably the most descriptive for what I am is a lesbian. So I came out to people in my life, and I have a really good set of friends that have always accepted me. So when I came out, I was obviously nervous. I didn't know, how it would go, but everyone was really supportive. Everyone accepted it. People that I wasn't sure how they would react, even some family, everyone that I told was really accepting, and it was, that was a great feeling. And at the time, I was actually co-hosting a podcast with one of my good friends, Beth. It's called Discovering Our Scars. It's still available on all podcast platforms, but we actually ended the podcast about a year ago. And we did talk about this a little bit on the podcast, and I'll put a link to the episode where I first came out. And it was basically really quickly after I came out. So my story is a little bit different. The same story, but, it's a little bit more raw when it first happened. So it's now been 2 years since I came out. And Amber, who I was dating, we dated for about 8 months, and we just basically decided that we were better as friends. And so we're not dating anymore. So it's been about a little over a year that I've been single, but it's been a journey. And, speaking of journey, that's what I love about kayaking is most of my life I've really been focused on the destination, like the getting to the place. I love going to New York City, for example. I hate the travel there, but I love when I'm there, the destination. But kayaking is all about the journey, and you're not really going to a destination. That's not what it's about. It's about the whole process and the journey paddling, and that is the takeaway. It's not where you're going. Through finding my love of kayaking and finding new discoveries about myself, I'm 39 now, and I learned that I was gay. Actually, my anniversary of my coming out is on my birthday. That's the day that I realized for myself that I was gay. So it was the night that I turned 37 that I realized that I was gay. Right when I got Mac, actually, I had been writing my memoir, basically my life story. And I got Mac towards the end of finishing writing that, and she really was very helpful in helping me stay focused and give me the energy and strength to finish writing that book. And that book really details some abuse that happened in my past and some mental health struggles and how they came about, and exploring why I went through what I went through. And that's all in my book that I actually did get published in 2020. It's called Discovering My Scars, and I'm really proud of it. I love that book. It could be a hard read because it's the reality of like darkness that a lot of people keep in the dark. And I think it's so important to talk about mental health and things that society doesn't see as appropriate, but we have to talk about everything, because if we don't, it just grows and it festers and it gets worse. I do think I did all that work on learning about my past and how did I not know I was gay. I just don't think I was ready to accept it and to not accept it. I think I would have always accepted it, but I don't think I was ready to fully explore it. And it wasn't until 37 that I was ready. But also it makes me think of kayaking. Sometimes I think oh my gosh, I wish I had known as a kid that I like kayaking. I could have been kayaking my whole life. But again, if I had learned about my love of kayaking when I was younger, would I not be as into it now? Would I not be as getting so much enjoyment out of it? So I do feel like I learn things in life when I need to learn them, when I'm ready to learn them. So I don't get overly upset that I didn't know sooner. But it is interesting because I barely dated before, so I'm kind of new in the dating world, yet I'm 39 now, and that's a whole different thing. I did try dating apps years ago, probably 10 years ago? Over 10 years ago, actually. And it wasn't that big a deal. It was easy to find people to date on them, and now it's a little different because we're all in a different stage of life, and that's fine. But it's a little different. So I wanted to share this story because, honestly, people have asked me before if I'm a lesbian, and I have easily said no. Not that I was denying it. I didn't know I was. I always thought I wasn't a lesbian because I never thought I never had those feelings for the same gender when I was younger. And that's what a lot of people that, come out when they're a little bit younger, they'll say like, oh, I always knew, but wasn't ready to come out, things like that. And honestly, I still look back at my childhood and I didn't always know. Like, I just didn't know. There was no one telling me like I have to be straight besides society. Besides society really focusing on being straight as the default and not even like allowing you to consider your sexuality, just you're straight. So, and I did grow up in the church, and I grew up in a church that didn't preach that being gay was wrong, but didn't preach anything but, you're going to marry your husband one day. There was no part of me that thought differently. And I think that was part of it too, is never seeing representation of what a normal lesbian looks like. There's a lot of different types of straight people. There's a lot of different types of lesbians. And I just never saw anyone like me represented. So I mentioned I was raised in the church, and I do identify as being a Christian. I don't love the term Christian because it has become muddled with a lot of hate. A lot of people will use the word Christian and hate people for no reason. That's not what I read in the Bible. That's not what I believe. And I will say, through my coming out, I actually have become even closer to God and have felt closer because I know myself even better. And I know that I am the person God made me to be, and that God is proud of me discovering this and of me knowing who I am and potentially finding someone to love forever. And there's no part of me that thinks this wasn't part of my journey and something that is anything but beautiful and exciting. And the more I learn about myself, the more I love myself, I accept myself, and the more I can love and accept other people. I think that for anyone, the more you can know about yourself, the better you are for other people. And that's just what I continue to learn time and time again. I have mentioned therapy a lot in this. Like I said, my therapist was really helpful in me accepting myself on this journey, and she was the one that told me to tell Amber and stop telling other people to tell Amber. So I stopped coming out to other people until I finally came out to Amber. Also, you've probably seen Amber in some videos. We are still good friends, to clarify. We dated for like 8 months, and now we're just good friends again. But we're both very supportive of each other, and we'll be probably friends for life. She will always have more than a footnote in my life because she just helped me so much on this journey, and I will be forever grateful to her. I've talked about how important mental health is to me, and therapy is a big part of that for me. And I have been seeing the same therapist since 2006. And there's more information about all of that journey in my book, Discovering My Scars. And I'll put a link to that if you're interested. You can get it wherever books are sold, Amazon. You can also get it on my website. But I've been seeing her for so long. And when I came out, she really helped me in the process. But then after I broke up with Amber, I was trying to figure out how to be in the world. And in a world where people will potentially judge me just for the fact that I'm gay. That just for the fact of who I was born to love is not okay with them. And I really had to process what that was going to look like, just being a gay person in the world, a single gay person in the world. And I was talking to my therapist about that. And she looked at me and she said, I don't know how to help you. Like, I can't relate to that. I don't know what to tell you. And she wasn't being insincere. She wasn't being anything but honest, and just very raw and real in what she was saying. And it was the truth. A straight woman in this world could not help me understand how the world was going to look at me as a queer woman. So she suggested I find an LGBTQ therapist. And so I went on a journey looking for one, and I found one in a crazy way. So I met my therapist through Instagram, but it's very, very professional. She's obviously she has all the degrees and everything, and we were able to do it through the video chat, telemed, I guess. And she's really, really been helpful in helping me through this journey, and just being that next step that my previous therapist was just not able to kind of specifically help me with. Having somebody that has a similar journey is really helpful, I've learned, when it comes to a therapist at this stage in my life. It is so pretty out here on the creek today. I've actually just been going in circles because the water level's really low, so I couldn't go very far, but I feel really safe out here. This is actually my friend's land, and so I just, even though she and her husband are in their house a little farther down, like, I feel safe out here, and that's important. That's really important as a woman, as a queer woman, to feel safe in my environment, especially if I'm alone. So I appreciate, thank you, Stephanie and Will, for letting me come out here to film this. This channel is called Hi, I'm Steph, and I really started this is my second channel. My first channel is called Mother Daughter Projects DIY, where I do DIY projects, home projects with my mom. And I started this channel as a place to share things outside of that. So it kind of just started to become greyhound and kayaking content, but I'm not going to limit it. And now there is a coming out story. But I'm on a kayak, so does this count as a kayaking video? I feel like it might. But thank you for joining me on today's video. And as always, I hope you have a gay day. I mean, great day. Or maybe a gay day if you're gay. Or if you're just happy. Whatever kind of day. All right. Bye.